Greetings, it is I, Tempest Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It's time to continue my discussion on the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, 5th Ed D&D. We've been talking about DMG, Dungeon Mastering, and of course, we're finishing up with some details and rewards you can get other than treasure. Now, I was talking about all those marks of prestige you can get. There's one more thing related to mark of prestige we can talk about today. Training. So what is training? Well, the fact is that sometimes someone that you are dealing with might have exceptional skills or abilities that no one else has, that are rare, difficult to gain. And this person, or someone else that this person's connected to that might have these skills, might be willing to train you as a reward instead of gold, money, treasure, financial basic gains. So, either myself, or if I'm some kind of position of power and this ally could train you. Now, this training would be something you would have to accept. Again, it's going to be a skill that it has to be appealing to the characters, or a character. Something that's unusual and different. And the kind of person that would train you, usually it will be something representing the class the character is. So you should have it a little customized. Something like that, if you're a druid and getting training from a druid, it should be like the head of a druid circle, a monk that's been studying at a monastery for long periods of time, a high priest of a faith, things that represent important characters that might have learned these skills. Maybe not necessarily important in society. It could be a druid who's been training for many years and is out deep in the forest as some kind of ancient sage. So you can see there's variety in the mannerisms, but as basically someone that knows stuff. So once you've decided to accept this reward, you go and train with them. The training time will be downtime. So this is going to be during your downtime activities. This will be basically free training under someone. You don't have to seek them out. You're being given access. You're not going to have to pay any money. The reward is training with them. And the training takes effectively 3 forms. These are the normal 3 forms. But your Dungeon Master, / you as the DM, can determine other kinds of rewards that would reflect it similarly. These are the easy ones. Inspiration. You'd gain inspiration for a period of time. More than likely, it'd be inspiration that you'd be used throughout your next adventure, is effectively what it will be. Your next adventure should be X number of days. You'll be given X number of days, maybe not the exact same number as the adventure itself, varying, but you'll have that many days of inspiration, so it's sort of like, hey, guess what? You trained a lot, you have inspiration for this next adventure. Other things that could be skill proficiency. That's a really good one. Maybe, you were the monk that never thought to take acrobatics, and you teach with someone, and now you learn acrobatics. Wah! Otherwise, it could be something like a feat. Feats are pretty powerful. They're a pretty potent thing. He could know the secret of some kind of feat, some kind of bonus that you might get. Maybe you get some alertness and some bonuses, that you get bonuses to initiative and things like that you've trained with this person and learned it. So training is a powerful tool that your Dungeon Master can offer to you to give you a bonus that's different than money and magic items, but would still represent something that could be helpful to your character. Now, there is one more thing that your characters can gain as a reward. An epic boon. But epic boons don't come for any character. You have to be a 20th level character in order to get an epic boon. Once I've hit 20th level, I qualify to be able to get these epic boons. These are gifts for accomplishing great quests or massive, powerful activities that affect the world, heroics, great things and accomplishments I've done. I could earn an epic boon. The times and the place for these are definitely going to be called upon by your Dungeon Master. But a very easy and simple system they could look into is in place of levels. Effectively, at a certain point in time, X amount of experience, I hit 20th level. What do I do then? The experience I gain doesn't really matter. I've reached the capstone. But maybe there's some still adventuring to do. At this point in time, while we're still adventuring, every 30,000 experience your character would gain an epic boon. That's a simple way of awarding them still some advancements. That means that you still gain something for accomplishing your quests, to going on these missions, to doing things in the world. I still get something from it. These extraordinary abilities could represent many different things. They could represent an advancement in your character. They could represent your ascendancy to some kind of demigodhood that you're slowly but surely transforming into. And these can take a variety of effects. How quickly you gain these abilities can be up to your dungeon master, whether it's one day you wake up and you've had a revelation, or slowly but surely it's building up within you so that all of a sudden it unlocks. And then regardless of that timing, it could also take physical forms. Maybe a halo of energy, your eyes begin to glow. There could be something related to it that you could see, reflect in that way. So the actual form of the boon can be different depending on how your dungeon master wants it. Now, traditionally, these boons are going to be given out so that they can help you in the next adventure, the next quest. That's the point of the boon, is I'm granting you this boon so I can use it next time. It will be useful for the next time. So you as the dungeon master have to think carefully about which boon to which character would help them in the next adventure that they're going to be going on. The boons themselves, most of them can only be given once. They will mention under the boon whether they can be applied more than one time, and also important to note for those boons that your character only gets one at a time regardless then too. So there's a whole lot of boons you can earn, a couple that you can earn more than once. Just how much you earn them, when you earn them, these things, it's all going to be very DM appropriate. But again, this is something that you can use to reward your players should they reach that 20th level. Because giving them lots of treasure and money and stuff might be something to do, but this might make up for the fact that there's not going to be so many like ridiculously epic treasures to match them anymore. Most of the time those treasures are going to be much smaller. And so, this is a way to reward them. All right. Now, let's start to talk about running the game. We've talked a lot about building your world, rewarding your characters, advancing your characters, having your characters face off things. We've basically set up most of what you need to actually have a world and have your characters interact with it. But we haven't talked about you as the dungeon master actually running the game, which is an important thing to discuss. The first thing we're going to want to look at is, of course, the rules. We've been talking about a lot of things, and these reflect the rules. These are building blocks of what builds your game. But it's important to note that your relationship with the rules is one of control. You are above the rules. The rules are a tool that you are using in order to make a fun game for you and your players. You are not beholden to the rules. They are not something that is above you and controlling you. So, when a rule does not help with the fun of your game, do what you're going to do with it. Change it, alter it, get rid of it. Table rules is an important part of the entire spectrum of rules, because we talk about the rules of the game, but there should be rules to the table, and these two things balance together. Now, table rules, a lot of people, when you hear them mention that, they are thinking, oh, you mean like house rules that people use? No, we will talk about that kind of thing, which it does relate to that thing. We're talking about the rules that you're going to be doing while you sit down at the table. Some things that are used and put in place that me and each of my players can get along well, can keep going together, and make sure that the game runs smoothly. Ideally, all of us are here to have fun at the table. We've all sat down, we're all playing together because, hey, we're wanting to have a good time. But establishing a few table rules helps this. They're basically small rulings that help us all get along. First off, and most and foremost, is any kind of argument that you're having with another player or players are having with each other, it stays outside the game. Don't bring it into the game. Just because your two players are arguing, your two characters could get along just perfectly fine. This is some kind of argument, some kind of conflict that you can have way outside the game. Keep it there. Another important thing is to minimize distractions. TV and video games are a big one. Phones can be a distraction, but unfortunately nowadays phones can also be a great tool to help with things for your character. So it's a balancing act of distraction. You want to make sure that if they're doing something on your phone, it's something directly related to helping out with the character in the game, or if not, they're putting it down. You don't want to be rude about it because sometimes in this digital age, things happen that people have to check in with messages, with family, and things like that. But here's where something important comes on. Breaks. Breaks have multiple uses. If someone needs to stand up, call someone, talk to someone, a break might help. If, for example, you might have children, babysitter might help, but sometimes you might have to check in with them. Break might help. Bathroom breaks. Ordering food. A lot of reasons behind having breaks help it out. So depending on how long your session is, plan some breaks in there. Plan little cuts that help you, that if your characters need to run to the bathroom, their players, I mean, they can do that. They'll have a chance to relax a bit, to ingest what's been going on in the game. And if something's going on in the world that they need to use their phone to connect with it, then they can connect with it then. Helps mitigate it. As someone that has been distracted by their phone before during a game, I can understand it can occur. And it's up to you with the DM to work together to not push someone away because of it, but to draw them in. If the game is... You want the game to be engaging enough to bring them in and that they put the phone down. Now, the last thing is important, and this is a very important one. Drinks and snacks. When you're going a long time, people are going to get hungry. People are going to want snacks. People are going to get drinks. Now, you could arrange for each person to take care of their own thing. You could arrange to get some kind of takeout. Most of the time, one person's put in charge of at least getting some drinks and some snacks. If people want to bring their own drinks, they can. If people want to bring their own snacks, they can. If it's an exceptionally long session, maybe take a break for some takeout. These are the kind of things that you do that are going to help keep the table running. People fueled. People will get tired the longer you go, and getting a little fuel in the system will keep them going. Now, the last thing we're going to cover today is player talk. What does player talk mean, though? This is the way that your players will be talking at the table, which comes in different layers. First and foremost is, when is it that I am talking as my character? When is it I am talking as my player? I have to have distinction between these. This could be something simple like, my character maybe talks with accent, maybe talks normal. Maybe I have to do something to mark it out. If I have this kind of words when I'm in character, this kind of words when I'm in player, I kind of have to like raise my hand, put my hand on my head. There's lots of ways to mention that I'm talking out of game. Or I could say like, no, out of game. Things like that. You distinguish between when you two are talking, because that's going to be an important thing. Characters say one thing, players say another. They need to be kept separate. Now, another important thing is too much information. We have to distinguish what a character knows, what a player knows, and if my character doesn't know it, they shouldn't be acting on it, they shouldn't be telling other people about it, and things like if my character is unconscious or unable to speak in some way, they shouldn't be sharing information. They should be, zip, quiet. Now, as the player, I could just say some things of like, quickly, save me, save me, save me. I mean, that's something too, but you have to respect that the character can't say anything about it, and the other characters might not know anything about it. They have to act as if it was normal, and even if that means character death. A DM can be flexible, can allow some things, can push some things to the side, but you have to maintain the distance between these two. And that's another important factor. Your players have to be ready to react not only in character as their character, but as themselves, and know it is appropriate. If something awesome happens on the table, they have to know how they're going to act as themselves to react to it, not only how their character would react to it. And establishing what kind of level of enthusiasm, what kind of level of emotion, and maybe even like things like being loud, disruptive could apply. Maybe your table's in an apartment complex. Then you don't want to really get particularly loud. Things like that. Or maybe, though you got a babysitter, they're watching the baby upstairs. Don't want to be too loud. So there's lots of reasons to make sure that you not only know how characters should be acting in game or reacting to something, players should know how to react. Players should know what's too loud, what's too much, things like that. But that's it for today. So I finished up with the last Mark of Prestige. I finished up by that entire section of rewards by talking about epic boons. Something you can use to keep players playing at 20th level and still get rewards. At least for some time. There will be a point in time where you're probably going to want to restart an adventure at a lower level. But if you want to keep going for some adventures at epic levels, epic boons might be a way to do it. Without having to worry about pesky leveling up. And then I moved on to talk about running the game. a couple of basics that deal with you as a dungeon master and you and your players at the table. There's more basics about this, and we're going to dive deeper into running the game in the next episode. There's a lot of little things that are important to talk about here that they don't seem like much, but thinking about these things before you start the game and before you start your table can help regulate the game, can help things go smooth, help things be fun, help everyone have a great time. Well, I hope you're having a great day. If you have any awesome stories about a epic level character, whether in Dungeons & Dragons or more, maybe you can share me with that one. 20th level characters can have great adventures too. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.